latest previews, reviews, and analyses and reactions to the biggest sporting events around the globe, subscribe to our YouTube channel to join the Premium FM Sports Center on Premium 89.9 FM, your preferred station.
A warm welcome to another edition of the Premium Sports Center on Premium 89.9 FM. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Raymond Ata. Don't forget, for more of this content, just hit the subscribe button below. I'm being joined live on the show by Ndiana Basi Ikobong. Welcome to you.
Raymond, thank you very much. Nice to be here to talk sports.
Marizona also joins us in today's edition of the show. Welcome, Mary.
Yeah, thank you very much, Raymond. It's a beautiful way to make my debut.
All right, our focus on Sports Center would be on the Super Eagles. Look ahead to the crunch doubleheader qualifiers against the Central African Republic in Lagos and Douala next week, while we also focus on Premier League action coming up this weekend. But we have to start with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, where Coach Gernot Rohr has invited Captain Ahmed Musa, Deputy Captain William Troost Ekong, and 21 other players for the crunch fixture coming up against the Central African Republic in the next round of matches for the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifications. Forget Nigeria won the last two games at the last international break, beating Liberia 2-0 at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos, courtesy of a brace from Leicester City forward Kelechi Iheanacho. They followed that up with a slim 2-1 victory over Cape Verde in Mindelo to put them top of their group. The next two games are crucial to the Eagles' qualification series, where 2 wins will all but guarantee qualification for the next Mondial. The first of the games comes up on the 7th of October and still at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos before they travel to Douala in Cameroon to take on CAR. The reasons why the game is taking place in Cameroon is because of political unrest in the Central African Republic. Let's look at the list of players being invited by the Super Eagles coach, and we'll go through it department by department. Let's start off with the goalkeeping areas. No changes. Francis Uzoho, who plays straight for Omonia in Cyprus, Daniel Akbayi of Kaizer Chiefs in South Africa, and Sparta Rotterdam of Holland's goalkeeper Maduka Okoye have again gotten the nod by coach Gernot Rohr. Rohr seems to have this huge faith in the crop of these goalkeepers, and it appears they will be the mainstay of the man between the sticks throughout Gernot Rohr's reign.
Obviously, I think consistency is key when it comes to selecting your team, and when you look at these players, the goalkeepers, I think they're also doing well in the individual clubs. Although Okoye has considered, I think 3 times this season so far, and I think, but that is. It's not just down to the goalkeepers. I saw 3 of those goals. It wasn't entirely his fault, because he also has to talk about the defensive line, also doing their job so that the goalkeeper can also do well. Francis Uzoho, off and on, but he has also a trusted, and he has also proven in the Super Eagles team that he can also he's able to do the job as well. And then Akbaye there's no doubt in South Africa is flying well. So I think that consistency is key. Although a lot of people want to see people from the home front, which we have had in the last time. Example is the goalkeeper in Atenyimba. We also have Adewale in Akwa United, who is also doing well, and he has been invited to the home team under 23. And so I think that consistency, like I said, is very important, and because of that, the coach has a huge faith in him, and he has also been performing well for us. So there's no reason for us to look outside him. It's about competition, and so the rest of the goalkeepers also want to be number 1 in that team. They also have to perform.
There's a lot of talk and question marks about Rohr's insistence on having Daniel Akbaye in the side, owing largely to the fact that he's prone to some high-profile errors and mistakes whenever he gets the nod to start in between the sticks. But the fact that he keeps getting this invitation, you would agree, is a huge moral booster to his confidence that absent Frank Uzoho and Francis Uzoho and Maduka Okoye, Daniel Akbaye could be called upon reliably to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, first of all, he's the oldest goalkeeper. The Super Eagles squad currently is over 30, and then he's got the experience. And then when you're talking about making blips, making schoolboy errors in front of goal. I think it's a relative thing. I think every goalkeeper at some point gets to make mistakes. But I think one thing that has made this man stand out, talk about that in the is the fact that he gets up. I mean, he's been particularly very phenomenal for Kaizer Chiefs. He helped them all through last season. He was one of their standout performers all through the season. So it's a talk about team performances. And then if you look at the players called up by Coach Gernot Rohr, these players are clearly called up by merit. We're talking Uzo, who plays consistently for Omonia. Akpeyi is Kaizer Chiefs' number one goalkeeper. He came into the team, and then he outstayed the former number one goalkeeper, and he's become the number one goalkeeper. So clearly, he's consistent. And then Maduka Okoye, just as Ikobong said, clearly has the potential to become one of the best goalkeepers if given the opportunity and all of that. So I think for Daniel Akpeyi, it's a case of experience that brings him to the Super Eagles squad. It's a case of the fact that he's been in and around the scene and he's consistent as well. And then I think we should just push away from the errors he makes. In those same games, he also makes good saves. The same games where he makes errors, he also makes fantastic, good saves. So I think it's a case of consistency and experience.
Well, for the defensive lineup, Chidozie Wanziem, Kenneth Emeru, Leon Balogun, William Troost Ekong, Olaoluwa Aina, Jamilu Collins, Abdullahi Shehu Calvin is also in the team as well, Kevin Boguma, and a return for Leon Balogun. He didn't get invited against Liberia and the Cape Verdean side owing to injuries. It's put up a good show since he moved to Scotland, playing under Steven Gerrard at Rangers. Having him back into the side, you think he's going to walk his way straight into the starting lineup? Is probably going to have to make do with a place on the bench.
Well, I think the way things work in Nigeria, except for the fact that at one point, we remember how he criticized the Super Eagles and the NFF, the way they handled the Super Eagles and all of that. It was a video that went viral on the social media. And of course, so many of us commended him because he was outspoken in that particular video. The last person that did that, I didn't even expect him to be invited because the last person that did that was Vincent Inyama, and we know what happened to him when he protested against the Super Eagles being taken to Kaduna in a very harsh weather to play in a team in a pitch that was also not very good when we had the Gosso International Stadium to play the match in. And so I didn't expect that they will call him up again after that interview that he granted the journalist. But then he has been invited, and we also know that it has also been very solid at the back with Trutekong. This partnership with Trutekong that is not questionable at all, and so that has also was what probably is one of the reasons they invited him back. But I know the way things work in Nigeria, and once you are able to establish yourself. And most especially the fact that his form currently is not in doubt. So I think that he's going to work his way right back to the starting lineup.
You share the same thoughts, considering Rohr's defensive back four has always been called into question over time. A lot of this is perhaps down to the fact that he seems to trust and rely on the same crop of players every time. So it won't be out of place if you get to see Shehu Abdullahi at right back, Jamilu Collins at left back. The only question would be who would partner with William Troost Ekong at the heart of the defence. So would you give Leon Balogun that immediate ease back into the side in the next two games coming up?
Well, I think so. Just as Ikobong said, he's consistent. He's Rangers' number one defender, clearly. He's been particularly very phenomenal for the Rangers team and route to the Scottish Premier League title win last season. And then with the fact that he started very on a good note for the Rangers this particular season. And then it's a case of being consistent and being fit, because I believe Leon Balogun is a solid defender. And then if you watch the way he plays when he partners with William Troost Ekong, there is this defensive solidity that the Super Eagles team, have at the heart of that defense. So clearly, I think, he definitely strolls into the starting 11 right there. If you take a look at the other competition, we're talking Chidozie Awaziem. We're talking Chidozie Awaziem, who is in Alliance for an obscure league. We're talking Kenneth Emeru, who has been struggling with Leganes and all of that. We're talking of Boguma, who has been struggling with Hoffenheim as well. So the only two solid centre backs that we have currently in terms of form, in terms of team performance, in terms of invaluability to your team is Troost Ekong and Leon Balogun. So clearly they would be the starting lineup.
Raymond, I want to totally agree with him, because when you look at the other options, Kenneth Emeru, watching him recently, I don't really feel that Awazim is good at centre back. I have seen him played as a left back and
right back
full back before, right back and wing and as a wing back too, and he's very perfect and very very competent in that. But I have seen him also work at the club level as a centre back, and most times you see him being drawn out of position and he does not really know what to do. So I think that the most viable partnership that we'll have with Trustekong is going to be Lund Balogun, and so that's why I'm confident that he's going to walk straight into the lineup.
All right, well, the midfield area is another huge concern for Nigerian football fans because the biggest headline from there is that Wilfred Ndidi has not been invited, and this is owing to injury concerns he picked up during his time with club Leicester City. But there's room for Frank Onyeka, who has been very impressive with newly promoted Brentford since they gained promotion to the Premier League. Joseph Aribo didn't feature last time out. He's back in the side again. There's room for a likely debut for Innocent Bonke, who plays straight for Malmo FF in Sweden, while former Arsenal and now Everton midfielder Alex Iwobi gets an invitation to the side. Let me start with you, Kabang. How much of a mix will it be not having Wilfred Ndidi in the side? Of course, he featured against Liberia in the 2-0 win at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, but 2 days later he jetted out to England. So he didn't feature when we beat Cape Verde 2-1. Comparing those two results, would you say missing him in the next two games would be crucial?
I think we cannot overemphasize the importance of this young man in the national team, because when you look at him at Leicester City, he's an anchor man. At some point when he misses out on injury, you find out that Leicester City will always have a problem, And so I think that yes, we got result without him. In the last match, in the last match that we played in Cape Verde, but I also think that it's a very key member of the Super Eagles, because when you look at his technical ability in the midfield, his ball winning percentage at club level, and he does that seamless job in the midfield in such a way that a lot of the defenders in front of him have so much confidence, because they know that there's a Wilfred Ndidi in front of them, and so anything that comes, he mops up all of the mistakes at the midfield. So definitely we're going to miss it. But I also know that Joe Aribo is also very competent at doing that as well. It might not be at the same level as Wilfred Ndidi, but it's also competent at doing that as well. So it's much to be desired. Joe Aribo has also played for us. He's more like a box-to-box midfielder. That's what I see him, because most cases you see him at the 16-yard box of the opponent, and he returns immediately back to the defensive role. And so I think that Joe Aribo is going to also do the kind of job that he's doing. We're going to miss Wilfred Ndidi, but I also know that when other players are called upon, especially people like Aribo, is going to be able to stand up to the occasion.
Frank Onyeka has got another invitation. Impressed, of course, last time out, and has been an impressive part of newly promoted Brentford's exploits in the Premier League so far this season. What difference do you think he has brought to the Super Eagles side to merit yet another invitation from Coach Gernot Rohr?
Well, first of all, added quality, because we're talking a time where, each department in the team must have at least 2 to 3, 4, 5, replacements, just in case, the key man is out, just as we've seen, in Super Eagles when Didi is out. So I think for Frank Onyeka, he comes in very handy for the Super Eagles team. He's a defensive midfielder as well. And then, even his role at Brentford is a lot more tasking than what Didi does at Leicester City. Most times, Didi, has got partners to help him mark, but at Brentford, they play 4-1-4-1 formation, and then Frank Onyeka is kept right in the middle of the park, directly in front of the defenders to do all the dirty job, for Brentford, and then he does it particularly very, very well. So if you're talking tactics and personnel, I think Onyeka is a beautiful replacement for the injured Ndidi. But I think, talking tactics right now, I think Gernot Rohr should, fix in to play a double pivot, probably Onyeka and Joe Aribo, just as Ikobong said. Onyeka will be the main man to do the attacks, to do the interceptions, the tackles, and all of that. Then Aribo would also help defensively as well as attacking wise, as a traditional box-to-box midfielder that he is. So I think Onyeka comes in very handy. And then we're talking about the Central African Republic, a team that is particularly relatively below the Super Eagles of Nigeria in terms of form, in terms of FIFA rankings as well. So the Super Eagles will comfortably defeat this team if they set up their team particularly very well. So for the midfield, I wanted to have concerns, but I took a look at the midfielders there. Onyeka clearly gave me some confidence. Aribo also gave me some confidence, and then I've watched Bonke play. couple of times in the Champions League for Malmo. I think he's a solid midfielder as well, so he could also get a nod into the Super Eagles team. So for me, I think the team is particularly compact despite the absence of the key players.
You both had reservations about the goalkeeping department's defense and midfield. It appears the forward lineup is where Nigeria sports for choices. And informed Victor Osimhen has now scored 7 goals for Napoli so far this season, including one in the Europa Conference League in a 3-2 defeat. Kelechi Iheanacho has been in fine form as well for Leicester City. Samuel Kalu, Paulo Nuachu. These are guys who are all firing on all cylinders at club level. Meaning Gernot Rohr will be sports for choices in terms of who to select up front to lead the front line. But you can't look past Victor Osimhen's fine form and a partnership with Kelechi Iheanacho, which should be, a threat any day, any time to any defensive lineup. You think Gernot Rohr can maximize the strength of the quality of the lineup of players he has invited up front to get the results he wants in the next 2 games?
I think the Super Eagles are blessed, and Gernot Rohr is also blessed at this particular time. I don't have any concern about the forwards, but the only concern is Gernot Rohr to be able to enhance the forward, and he has done that so far. I think for me, he usually goes with a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1 formation. That's what we have been doing on the pitch, and most cases we adapt it to a 4-3-3 formation. And if you are starting if I were the coach, I would start Osimhen, which is a top notch for now, because Paul and Onachu were fine at club level. It delivers, but in most cases, at 70% once it comes to the national team, you don't see him deliver immediately, and so he better comes off the bench to play for us. But Osimhen should start for us. Iheanacho has. Is a player that is used to playing as a second striker. And so if he plays behind Osimhen, it's that kind of player that runs into channels. If you're watching very well in Leicester City,
Absolutely.
Even when they pay him with Vardy, they don't even play on the same level. He sits deep, and he runs into a channel, and he knows how to pass the ball onto Vardy. And you see most cases, Vardy returns the pass back to him and he scores it. And sometimes Maddison comes in and also giving that pass. So I think that Iheanacho is very good at playing behind the striker, and it's perfect at that. And then in recent time, they have a certain level of understanding between him and Osimhen. So I think that for the forward, there's no problem. And then you start an Ahmed Musa, which I still believe it performs well. Even though he's playing for Kano Pillars now, but from the flanks, he's also very good at doing from the flanks. But then they also have an Alex Iwobi who can also play from the flanks as well. So I think that for the forward lines, we don't have an issue. What we need to now is consolidate on our midfield, like he has already said. We have an Onyeka, which is something that we want to see by next week, how it's going to play out. Onyeka, Aribo, and the rest of the people in the midfield. So that is what we're going to see from the midfield. If the midfield is able to consolidate and hold we have them hold their grounds in the midfield, and then we also understand that the forward lines we don't have a problem. As long as they get the supply of the ball, we are confident and sure that we're going to have the goals.
Raymond, some more corroboration to what Ikoban has said. In as much as we have our best legs, the forwards, just as I said, we are blessed with forwards, but we have to use the best legs. And then the selection process should be, in terms of form, in terms of consistency, and then how good you have for your club in recent times. And then if you place all of that side by side with Gernot Rohr's 4-2-3-1 formation, clearly, Osimhen should start. He scored 7 goals in 5 games for Napoli this season. Clearly, you cannot write him off. You cannot just overlook his performances for Napoli. He clearly needs to start. And then, if we're talking about the flanks, Moses Simon is non-player of the month currently because of his performance in the month of September. So he should get some energy. I mean, it's not easy to be, a consistent player for a team like Nantes in the French League. I mean, they've been doing particularly very well. I mean, he's their creator in chief, as a matter of fact. So I think Moses Simon should start ahead of, Ahmed Musa. Musa is in Turkey actually, in Kamagumruk, and then Kamagumruk clearly are struggling in the Turkish league. That they are not even as strong as they should be. So if you place all of that side by side with the fact that Simon is very good for a club in playing in Europe, mainstream Europe, so I think he should start. And then I believe these games like this should also give Gernot a chance to try the French players that he could not try in the other game. One player that comes to my mind is Chidera Ejuke. He's a fantastic left winger. I mean, he's got fleet foot. I mean, he's got some interesting dribbles on his feet. So he clearly needs to start these games since Samuel Chukwueze is out due to injury. So this should be a chance for education, to showcase himself to the Super Eagles crowd and all of that too. I think away from the fact that we're blessed with forwards, we also have to use, we have to be discreet to use the best set of players to get a win from these games.
All right, some more updates on that fixture. The match comes up, the first leg of which at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos on the 7th of October. The return fixture will take place on Sunday, the 10th of October in Douala, Cameroon. Let's move away from the Super Eagles now and talk Premier League action. Matches returns this weekend. A reminder of the major fixtures. The lunchtime game would come from the Old Trafford Stadium. Manchester United are at home to Everton. They've been porous in the past 2 games at home domestically, but they saved their blushes with a 2-1 win over Villarreal in the Champions League midweek. They host an Everton side who have been quite impressive in the league as well since the season started under new manager Rafa Benitez. Let me get your thoughts on this quickly, both of you. Ikoban, let me start with you. Manchester United versus Everton, arguably the trickiest fixture on paper this weekend. Which way do you see this one going?
Well, I think Manchester United will get this through, but it's not going to be an easy one because we saw what happened against Aston Villa. A lot of people didn't actually expect that to come through. I think also that in as much as Manchester United is inconsistent in their performance so far this season, I also think that this is a huge challenge for them because they don't want to lose the Premier League back-to-back. And also at Old Trafford, I don't think they want to also lose that. So for me, I think that Manchester United will do everything possible. They will come from the fact that they have won midweek in Champions League, and then they will now take that mentality into the league over the weekend, because Everton can also be a very trickish club, when it comes to playing against them. So I think that Manchester United will just take this. It might be a very slim margin when it comes to the goals, but when you're looking at the fact that you have a Cristiano Ronaldo, you have a Bruno Fernandes, you have a Pogba in that team, nobody is certain anything less from them. And I don't think for the fact that they lost last weekend to a lowly rated side.
Do you agree with the school of thoughts that Ole is not the man to drive this Manchester United side going forward, and maybe they need a more experienced manager to manage the crop of players he has at his disposal? A lot of them world-class players.
But the truth is, it's a very technical question because, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer particularly clearly is a coach. If you take a look at the fact that he came from the back of, he's not coached a big team like United before now, and then the last Premier League team he coached, he took them to relegation. So clearly, I think bulk of the things Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows right now, he learned coaching Manchester United, and then if we can stay here and talk about the fact that he's not fit for United and all of that, but the board supports him, and then there are no indications that he might be sacked anytime soon, because clearly the fans at some point support him, the board supports him as well, and then even when United go down in terms of form, all of a sudden they pick up, win 2 games, and then the fans are happy again. So it's a story of inconsistency for them. But I think it goes beyond just talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's not fit enough for the job. Clearly, he's not. But the board do not think so. The board believes in what he's been doing clearly and all of that. Talking about this Everton game, I think the game is very tricky because first of all, United are particularly very poor at home. They've lost 2 consecutive home games so far. One in the Premier League, one in the Carabao Cup. So it looks very, very unlikely that they'll win this particular game against an Everton side, that looks rejuvenated. And Rafa Benitez came back to Merseyside and then coached the other side of Merseyside. Talk about Everton, and then these players have looked very, very consistent. We're talking Calvert Lewin, we're talking Gylfi Sigurdsson, we're talking Alexi Iwobi, and the rest of them. So they're fired up, and then with statistics and facts backing them up with the fact that they're good away from home. United are very, very poor away from home, so they should stand a chance of seeing this game through. But I think it'll pile up more pressure on Manchester United if they happen to lose this game. But as I said earlier on, they might lose this game and then win the next 2, and then the fans happy again. So it's a story of inconsistency. But this game particularly will be an interesting one.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. But I also think that having lost back-to-back at home, in 2 different competitions, it's going to be down to the players. They have the players to actually rise to the occasion and also do what they need to do. And so I think that on the back of that, and the back of the fact that they also won, yes, it was a very tough one against even Villarreal because he has to take a Cristiano Ronaldo magic for them to actually win that one. But I also think that it's going to also be a game that Manchester United player want to stand and be counted at the end of the day. And so in as much as we know how Everton has been doing in recent time, going by their form as well and statistics. I am very confident that Manchester United is an early kickoff, for goodness sake, and I'm very pretty sure that the players want to be stand and be counted. And like you said, at some point when everybody thinks that Ole should actually go, the players will also stand up for him and also perform. So why it's going to be a tough one, I think Manchester United are going to get this done with a very slim margin.
All right, we'll see about that. Other games to tell you about from the top more. Burnley would welcome bottom side Norwich City. Leeds United are at Ellen Road. They take on Watford. Wolverhampton Wanderers will take on Newcastle United. From the Stamford Bridge, Chelsea are at home to Southampton. The Blues, of course, lost back-to-back games for the first time under Thomas Tuchel. They'll be hoping to get back to winning ways when they welcome the Saints. And the late kickoff on Saturday would come from the American Exeter Stadium. Brighton and Hove Albion take on a rejuvenated Arsenal side. That's the late kickoff on Saturday. Those are the games we'll be looking forward to this weekend. In the Premier League, best of luck to the sides, of course. It would be we'll have a lot to get your reactions on all of those games, but we have to save that for later. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being a part of the show today.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Mary,
thank you very much. It's a beautiful way to make my debut again.
All right, so don't forget the big one, of course, in the Premier League will come on Sunday. Liverpool welcome Manchester City to Anfield. It's arguably the tie of the round. Next time we come up on Sports Centre, we'll have to talk about this. But thank you so much for joining us. Till we come your way again, I'm Raymond Ita. Have yourselves a fascinating times. Bye for now.
Premium 89.9.
We are your preferred station. Premium 89.9 FM.